Welcome back to the Talk Nats podcast. My name is Kevin Nibley, and we are sponsored by Old DC Apparel. Head on over to shopoldDC.com. Some of the coolest, most original DC fan shirts and hats you'll find. Also running a charity promotion for the 2026 Washington Post Layoff Fund. 100% of all of our charity shirts will go to that fund for the laid off Post employees. You can subscribe to us, as always, on YouTube at Talk Nats Podcast. That's also our handle on X. And the audio version is available on every major podcast outlets. All right, so last week I teased a big guest, and we were able to get her. We are, in fact, going to be joined by the current mayor of Washington, D.C., the Honorable Muriel Bowser, will be joining us. Or actually, we joined her in the mayor's office on Monday. We got into the coming season and the importance of baseball to the city. DC hosting a Super Bowl one day, and she's going to have some pretty entertaining answers on all of that. Before we bring that clip in, we're going to do a new segment. Okay, so this is a new segment we're going to do. I like to call it W's and WTFs. So we can review what went right, what went wrong. Now that we have some real results, we'll be doing this every week. So let's break it down. W's, new management. Have to give a lot of credit to Blake Butera and obviously Paul Taboni, Simon Matthews, the pitching coach. It was stunning to me to see these guys come out. I mean, Simon Matthews looks like he's 17 years old to me. It's kind of amazing. It looks like Spicoli in Fast Time at Ridgemont High. But, the pitching, save for, the bullpen in the final game in Philadelphia on Wednesday, the pitching's been pretty good. And you have to admire the way the team's playing. Guys seem to be running hard. Even CJ, after getting a talking to, was hustling down to first. I think the early returns are pretty good on new management. So we're going to count that as a W. Another W, Brady House and Dalen Lyle. Lyle showed some flashes last season. He looked pretty good. I think at this point, I know it's only 6 games in. I don't want to get too carried away, but I think, as a Nats fan, you look at these guys. What we're looking for is we're looking for guys that you can pencil in and be like, all right, this guy's going to be a starter for 5-6 years, however long we have him. And, I think it's only 6 games, but you have to look at Brady House and Dalen Lyle like, all right, these guys are going to be pieces of the next playoff team or the next competitive Nats team. And hopefully they keep it up. But I think early returns 1 week in, you got to take a W on Brady House and Dalen Lyle. All right, last W of the week, I'm going to say the ABS system. Wow, it's really changed the game. It's changed it in a great way. Less and less of these games and these key moments are getting decided by incompetent umpiring, and the game's moving closer towards a product where the human element isn't screwing teams over. And I think for any baseball fan, that's got to be a W. So 1 week in, we're taking the ABS, we're counting it as a W. All right, and that brings us now to the WTFs. First WTF, I'm going to say our first base defense. Chaparro, who was sent down, they had him in on opening day. He couldn't really field a ball or scoop a ball or do anything over at first base. That reared its ugly head again later this week with Luis Garcia, who obviously isn't a full-time first baseman. He's a second baseman who's been converted over. But in general, I think the Nats are going to need a first baseman at some point this year who can play defense. It reminds me of the movie Moneyball when they're trying to train Scott Hatteberg, played by Chris Pratt. And, Chris Pratt says his biggest fear is a ball being hit in his general direction. It's kind of getting to that point for the Nats where, sadly, you're expecting a bad play at first base, if not every night, every other night. And, unfortunately, in some of these close games, like the ones in Philly, that they end up costing you. So I think we're going to put a WTF by the Nats first base defense. Another one, CB Buckner, definitely a WTF. I think most of us saw that game he had in Cincinnati, where he kept getting every call wrong to the point of embarrassment. Then he had another game later in the week where he literally was staring at a guy who stepped on first base and tried to call him out for not stepping on first base. I mean, it's interesting. This new technology, I think it's really going to shine a spotlight on some of these umpires who probably shouldn't be umpires. So for this week, CB Buckner, WTF. And our last WTF, I'm going to go with April Fool's Day. Got to be a WTF for me. It used to be this holiday where, it was funny. You would lie. You would come up with some outlandish story, see if people bought it, see who was gullible, and then you'd say April Fools. And that was the joke. But, unfortunately now we live in a world where like pretty much 30% of everything you see online is bullshit, right? So this idea of having a holiday where we bullshit people, to me, it doesn't really work anymore. I think we might want to look at getting rid of April Fool's Day. Real life has kind of replaced the novelty of this holiday, and maybe we should look at moving on. So that's our new segment, W's and WTFs. Hope you liked it. We'll be trying this every week. And now, without further ado, here is the Honorable Mayor Muriel Bowser.
All right, so this is a first for us. We are in a mayor's office. It's my first time. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having us. We are with the Honorable Muriel Bowser. Thank you for taking the time with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, when this episode airs, it'll be right before the home opener against the Dodgers. Talk about how important baseball is to the city and what the Nats mean to the community here.
Yes, well, we love our baseball team. We're grateful to have it, and I think there are many Washingtonians who will remember a time when we didn't have a baseball team at all. I'm one of those people who grew up in a DC without baseball. I am also the daughter of a father who loved baseball, who loved the Nats and loved opening day. So it for families is a great time to get out, to enjoy the outside, to enjoy their city, to enjoy the game. For the city, it's just been an incredible transformation. And in many ways, it was the kind of the start to the building the sports capital that we're so proud of.
No, definitely. Now, you mentioned growing up with a baseball fan father. My next question is going to be, are you a baseball fan yourself?
I'm a Nats fan.
Of course. Great answer. And have you had any favorite Nats players along the way?
A huge Dusty Baker fan.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Sure.
We were so proud of his leadership of the team. But we love our players, and that was a magical time on the team, and we're looking forward to those glory days again.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to. We were just outside your office, and we saw these display cases with all the. I saw some swag from.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I guess take us back. What was that like that year? That run, just what it meant to the city, and what it meant to you, and just take us back there.
I mean, I know it meant a lot to the club, and I had been there for that run that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And how heartbreaking that was, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, and to so quickly come back again, and it's a lot of pressure on the club, on the players, and I just felt really happy for the Lerner family that they put it together and it all came together for the city. But I think it was also a shot in the arm for the city. Like, we had to prove that we could win a big one. And we did, and we put it on with great style. People were introduced to Washington sports who hadn't been previously. And for us to showcase a World Series was a big deal. And we had just done the All-Star game, which was another big deal. So people could see that we have the facilities, we have the transportation, we have the hotels, and we have the fans. The fans just really make it all come to life.
For those of us who don't know, or people who aren't, because a lot of times when people write in the media, they write the negative stories about, teams not doing well, this, that, but there are not a lot of stories about the team and what they do with the community.
Yes.
And walk us through some of this.
Well, I think that the Nats have really written the playbook of how to do community. We have a partnership with them, of course, for the academy. And so a lot of young people, remember the young people I told you weren't really exposed to baseball? Imagine that. Now there's a whole academy that is exposing kids. Girls are involved, and it's mostly softball, but I think some girls are on baseball teams. I participate every year with one of our Little League teams, the Capital City Little League and the Chevy Chase team, and the Nats sponsor all their jerseys. So you have all these little kids with their Nats swag. They do a lot of community events. So where kids, when I was on the council, I would always take a group award for kids to the ballpark and have a award for a night. So I think the city really feels some ownership over the team. We're very proud of the stadium. And we're even prouder that we'll have the Nats kind of locked in for another 30 years.
That's great. Yeah, now I've noticed as a resident, obviously a lot's changed in the Navy Yard since they've come in. I mean, it used to not be a lot. Now it's like a little Times Square almost. What was that process like?
Well, it's amazing. So I wasn't in government at the time. I came right after that big decision.
Sure.
But it wasn't unanimous. Now, if you ask anybody who didn't support the Nats bringing the baseball team back, there's nobody who will raise their hand. But it was a very divided vote down here at City Hall. I think it's 7-6 over 10 or 12 different votes to make the stadium happen. And it has really demonstrated how investing in professional sports can transform neighborhoods and increase tax revenue. And because we've had the success that we've had at the Capitol Riverfront and Nats Park, we've been able to make other transformational investments, like right down here at Cap One Arena and soon to be at RFK.
It leads right into my next question. With RFK, I mean, obviously that's just been announced, I haven't really gone too far with that, but do you anticipate a similar development on that side as what we've seen in the Navy Yard over the last 10 years or so?
Absolutely. Well, it's a little bit different because the Navy Yard is, we're the primary owner, and it's a patchwork of owners all around. With RFK, we own the whole shooting match, the whole 180 acres. And we're going to develop a couple of the parcels. The Washington Commanders will develop the balance. Great connections to the river, great parks. It'll be a one-of-a-kind venue and lots of opportunities for DC residents to work, DC businesses to participate in the development, which could have up to 6,000 units of housing. So we just launched a master plan for the entire site. And I just couldn't be more proud. When I started 10 years ago telling DC residents I wanted to bring the team back, nobody believed me. Sure, and I think the only thing that they could see is that stadium and parking lots. And now they're finally seeing the vision of a stadium and housing and a sportsplex for DC residents, parks and connections to the river. It's really going to be amazing.
Awesome. Now, you will be known as the mayor who brought the Commanders back to the city, which is a great deal. And you kept the Capitals and Wizards from moving to Alexandria as well. I wanted to know, is there anything else in the future maybe for the Nats Park? Like, I know people have mentioned roofs or things like that, or do you feel like that site's okay for now, or is there anything?
Oh, no, you always have to be improving.
Okay.
And the city is going to be a proud partner with the team in making sure that our stadium stays up to date, that when players come, they say this is an amazing place to play. It has great facilities. When our fans come, they're going to want to be there instead of at home watching on TV.
Sure, yeah.
So we always have to be improving and making the investments that makes us a world-class facility. And we should just know, and then we do this, and we just hosted the Elite Eight in DC.
Yeah, and that was quite a game.
That was quite the game. So there are all of these events out there that we don't have yet. We haven't had a Super Bowl here. Mm-hmm. We can when we get RFK. We can host the Final Four here. And we can host a bunch of kids' activities that are now going elsewhere. These volleyball tournaments, these cheer tournaments, all these kids and families who want great facilities. We're preparing DC for that. One of the first kind of sports ventures that I went on, I think I was Mary-elect at the time, was trying to get the games that are about to happen in Los Angeles.
Sure, yeah.
And we had a great bid, great team of folks, but we just didn't have all the facilities. And now we will have all the facilities. By 2030, we will have all of our professional sports teams in our city limits, men and women. And we're ready to host all the big global events.
Cool. I was going to be my next question, but kind of went there a little bit. So hopefully a Super Bowl, hopefully a Final Four and a new football stadium up there.
For sure.
Okay.
Let's take that to the bank.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Now I'm sure DC residents, and fans would love to hear that. Getting close to the end, I did want to ask a little bit about the Navy Yard. There have been some concern in the media about like the juveniles doing the takeovers. Is that a concern for you? Do you think that's blown out of proportion? Or?
I think it's something that we will get a hold of, and we have the right tools, and we have the council now voting on one of my pieces of legislation that we know works. But we just have to set the tone for kids that, this is not fun.
Sure.
It's not a game.
Yeah.
And activity like that is dangerous for them and for others.
Great. And so, we're almost out of time, but please let us know anything else you'd like to discuss or promote in terms of sports in DC or just in your office in general.
No, we're just really excited about this week for the Nats home opener, and we're behind our team 100%.
All right. Well, Your Honor, thank you for taking the
time.
Thanks for
coming
we really
to
appreciate
City
it.
Hall.
Yeah, thanks for having us. First for me, total thrill. So appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so that was our episode. I'm really grateful for the mayor for taking the time, and really cool quote, take it to the bank in terms of DC getting a Super Bowl. Many thanks to her and to her office for setting that all up. We got the home opener coming up later today against the Dodgers. Tough end to the series in Philadelphia, but hopefully they give us something to cheer about this weekend against a tough opponent. I have to like the way the team's looking. Hopefully they have a good weekend against LA. As always, please visit talknats.com, shopoldc.com. Those two entities keep this show coming to you every week. And until next week, go Nats.